Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Walking This Way's Impact Voice Podcast. I'm your host, Fermi Jackson Jr., broadcasting live from my new hometown of Arlington, Texas. Hope everybody had a great day. Hope everybody had a very productive day, of course. And like I said, man, very excited about doing another edition here on the podcast this evening, of course. Hope everybody, like I said, hope everybody have a great day. Hope everybody had a very productive day, of course, here in the surrounding area, wherever you may be located at, wherever you may be present at. I'm about to get ready to pull in my guest here on Walking This Way's Impact Wars podcast. And I just want to say, Derek Jones, welcome to Walking This Way's Impact Wars podcast. Can you hear me?
Can you hear
Cool. I
me?
said, yeah, I hear you now. I hear you loud there. Man, thank you for taking time out to be the schedule, to be a part of the podcast this evening, man. How you doing this evening?
All right, brother. Let me get this together here.
Okay, take your time.
Oh. Can you hear me and see me okay?
Oh yeah, I can see you and I can see and hear you loud and clear. Once again, thank you for taking time out to be the schedule, be a part of the podcast, introduce yourself to the audience.
All right. I am Derek Jones. I'm a touring house music DJ out of Chicago. Been in the business for now 36 and a half years.
And that's a long time. Putting in music and stuff like that. And like I said, I do thank you for taking time to be the schedule, be a part of here. And like I said, how did you get music? Have you always been into music growing up as a child?
I've always liked it. I've always loved it. I started out, believe it or not, like most people that are in my industry, as a dancer, dancing in dance crews and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, I just fell in love with the genre of, house music.
And that's what's up right there. And I know back in the time, I know the house parties was a big thing. The weekends was a big thing. People getting together. So are them things still taking place today in the 20th century with the house parties, getting together, just having a good time?
Oh yeah, I mean, in Chicago, it's 7 days a week, man. There's always a house party going on somewhere, even though Chicago is less a lot of the big clubs that we used to have. You still have a lot of underground spots where they continue to have it going all day long.
Okay.
7 days a week. It might be 3 or 4 house parties, 3, 4, 7 days a week. No telling. It might be 3 on Monday, 2 on Tuesday, 5 on Saturday. It goes down like that.
Yeah, because we know music is a powerful tool. We know music either it can move you, positive, negative, make you cry. And we know that we're in some trying times right now. And I know people are looking to have a good time. Dealing with so much with the pandemic, quarantine, so much is going on in our world. And we know that music and people just want to have a good time, listen to some jams and just be easy with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, well,
So
house
I'm
music was
feeling.
built off of peace and love anyway,
Mm-hmm. And I said we need more of that positive atmosphere when it comes to just loving, having a good time, listening to some music.
Mm-hmm.
Because we know that it's much, say so much stuff that people are looking for to get into, and especially like I said, having to get together or whatever. So I know you go by your nickname is Smokey, right?
Smoking, yeah. It was actually Smoking, Smoking. And
Mm-hmm.
then in the later 2000s, I took the G off and just made it Smoke In.
And how did that come about, the nickname?
Well, we had a crew of DJs here that kind of helped influence the sound, on radio back in the day that was called the Hot Mix 5. And the Hot Mix 5 really helped launch a generation of DJs in the genre of house music. I mean, it was just a real big deal back then. And one of the guys on the team, his name was Scott Smoking Seals. And I said, "Oh, I like that smoking." And then I became Derek Smoking Jones. So I bit off of him. Me and him laugh about that still today, you know. But I bit off of him, and then smoking has sounded so 80s, and a lot of the records I put out in the 80s had the ing on it. And when I came in, I said, okay, I'm smoking now. And now, you know, my corp is just, you know, smoking ink. Yeah.
Okay. That's what's up right there. And my next question is, who are your musical influences?
Oh man. Well, realistically, man, my musical influences came from a lot of, you know, different DJs and producers back in the day. You know, like Larry Heard. He was one of the pioneers of the house music sound. Frankie Knuckles definitely was somebody that I admired. You know, rest in peace, Frankie. You know, you know, he's one of our godfathers of house music. Um, and then today I have, you know, I have a lot of them. You know, I respect Louis Vega, DJ Spin, Dave Morales. You know, these are a lot of great artists and DJs and producers, man, that produce a sound. I like Black Coffee. You know, if y'all familiar with the song Superman, he did that song Superman, and then, you know, I think Kanye and them did remakes of it for the hip hop world, you know, stuff like that. Yeah.
And then my next question is the pandemic. We know that the pandemic is taking place in our nation. We know the pandemic have affected a lot of people in a lot of ways. So how have you and your family handled the pandemic that's been going on in our country?
Well, it was very hard because in 20 pandemic realistically hit near the mid to the end of 2019. So around that time, around, you know, I'm a CEO of a music festival that we have here in Illinois called the Music Alliance Festival. We're actually going to have it this year. We're going to have it this year, but I was in the process of planning that in 2019. And I was all excited about it. We had a lot of sponsors, Harley Davidson, we had dealerships, we had, you know, man, we had so many people coming down for it. And we had got all the staging and effects and all the cool things that were going to happen at this thing. And around, I want to say October, my whole spirit changed, and I would just have to call that God. And I turned to my wife, and I was sitting at the dining room table working on stuff, and I said, "This is not going to happen." And she's like, "Why you say that?" I said, "It's not going to happen." And she said, "Again, why would you say that?" I said, "Something is coming. I don't know what it is. It's in my spirit. It's heavy." I said, "I feel it like a weight pressing on me." I said, "Something's coming." And she's like, "No, you just worried, stressing out." I said, "No, no, 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 no." I said, "I know the difference." I said, "That's not what it is." So then we started hearing about this thing, COVID, because before we was kind of hearing little bits and pieces of it,
Mm-hmm.
but it was the China thing, you know, how everybody was looking at it. We really wanted, and then we heard little, you know, it was popping up here and there, and we still didn't think much of it. And then I told her, I said, "You know what?" I said, "We need to get a lot of groceries. We need to get a lot of water. We need to get a lot of stuff stored up." And she looked at me like I was crazy. I said, "No, I'm serious." And we, ironically, we had already, you know, the whole big joke about the toilet paper towels and Lysol.
Uh-huh. I
Yeah,
remember.
we had already got tons of that already, and we already had maybe about 8, 9 cans of different types of Lysol and cleaner. We already had a lot of stuff, and then we just added more to it. And right when everything hit, we were already together. And I was sitting in the parking lot thinking about Marvin Gaye's song, like, what's going on? And I'm watching people in stores and hitting each other with shopping carts. I'm sitting watching shopping mall parking lots fill up like it was a huge concert, and people were fighting over food. And I mean, it was really weird. Then I had got sick in November, and I think I had caught a touch of it, or a good piece of it. Just luckily, we had enough medication in our home to help fight it. My wife got sick around my birthday then in February, um, and she was coughing up blood and everything. It was really bad, and she had got her antibiotic Z-Pack and all that, and took care of herself, and we made it through. The hard thing was the loss of income. The DJ tour shut down, the festival was shut down. I wasn't motivated to make new music because I was like, why? And when I sat down and tabulated, everything I lost financially, it was close to 1.1 mil, that I could have had, from TV shows, documentaries, everything that they were going to do for us, because they were going to do a documentary on the whole story of house music, and the parts we played. And then we were going to do I think it was going to be like a 15-part series, and so it was just a lot getting ready to happen that year, and it just didn't happen. So it was that loss of income. The good thing about it was me and my wife love each other, and it wasn't a big deal for us to be locked in the house together every day after day. We enjoy each other's company, and we knew how to give ourselves space. And while everybody else was getting divorced and falling apart and arguing, and people committing suicide. I mean, we didn't run into any of that. It was kind of like, okay, we're at home, because people didn't understand, believe it or not, because of my career and what I did and how I move around, I was a firm homebody anyway. So, and that was because I was always out doing something, or always out playing somewhere, or always out, and when I got time to be home, I was like, yes. So, it was just the loss of the paper. I was like, but I mean, God is good. It'll come back.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And on this time, from that spiritual standpoint of like you said, rekindle that time with your wife, spiritually grow for everybody. No, people look at it as a negative, but I look at it as a positive. You got time to actually grow, like re-examine your life, where you want to go, where you think you need to go. And some people made the best out of it, some people didn't make the best out of it. But it's all hardcore and how you handle it. I know a lot of people handle it differently, and I know a lot of stuff is still going on today. But mostly, hey, take this time, reinvent yourself, cultivate some things. I know a lot of times during this season, a lot of people became entrepreneurs. But like you said, a lot of people lost jobs behind this as well, especially small businesses got hit behind this. And
yeah,
some people
absolutely.
just go ahead.
We had a few friends that invested their pensions and life savings into businesses, only to open them up in 1 month, and 2, 3 months later to lose it and lose everything that they put into it. So it was rough. Then we had friends that were huge in the real estate market, and they were selling all over the state, and all of a sudden the buildings, because of the rent moratorium and all these things that were happening, people weren't paying rent, and and these people still had to, and, everybody thought it was kind of cool, yeah, I don't have to pay rent. And I know some of those people were very valid in why they couldn't pay rent. And I also knew a lot of people took advantage of that situation. So they didn't think about the fact that the buildings and the homes and stuff that they were staying in, landlords didn't out and out own those homes. They were still paying a mortgage on those homes and on those buildings. And just like, they didn't want to pay a bill, or they didn't want to get tied up some, these people still had to pay bills to keep the lights on, keep the water going, pay the taxes, and still give them a roof to stay up under. So I mean, I don't think people thought about how it affected other people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And if they could give a little something or something, I would have rather them done that than just bailed and say, well, you know what, I ain't giving you nothing. You know what I mean? But that's that's human nature for some people, and people will take advantage of that every time. And I think even though they helped people that had to pay rent, they should have also helped people that had to pay mortgages. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because if I can't get rent, I can't pay a mortgage. Just like if you lose your job, you can't pay me. You see what I'm saying? So it's the same situation. I think they should have made allowances for both.
Yeah, I agree, and I really agree because, like I said, a lot of people's affected behind this whole pandemic and still going on today. And my next question, I know you talk about the music festival of Chicago. Um, how did that all start, and how can people be a part of that?
Well, it actually started this way a few years back because it actually started because it was a bunch of conflicts. And what would
Mm,
happen was it was a lot of popular house music crews and DJs and stuff like that. And everybody was having picnics. And, if I wasn't playing at one, I was visiting one. Me and my wife and I, we pretty much lived out of the car in a sense because we left tents in there, grills, chairs, all of that, because every single weekend there was an event that I was invited to that I had to play at, or I was just had to hang out at to support my other fellow peers and stuff. And my wife, we were literally exhausted, and we came home and sat down one day and we was like, wow. She said, I can't believe how many events we went to in these few months. I mean, she said, it's ridiculous. She said, this is tiresome. And she said, this is like being on the road. And I'm like, yeah. So I said, it'd be cool if I came to the round table with a lot of the people that did a lot of the festivals and picnics in the summer, and we create one huge event and we run it for 1 week or 2 weeks, you know, in Chicago. And that's how I kind of came up with the alliance. Hence the alliance. We all come together and everybody has their day to do something, but it's done under the alliance. And house music, what a lot of people don't know, was full of egos and people who's in charge and who's going to do this and how's money going. It was all this kind of questions, and it got very discouraging. And I was just about to give up on it, and I said, you know what? Nope, I'm gonna keep this thing going. And I kept it going, and we've been very successful with it. Um, what we typically do is we invite out different DJs that play house and dance music and stuff like that. We have brought out some freestyle DJs and DJs to kind of play a mesh up of a lot of music. We've had that a few times. Um, and we bring out vocalists and entertainers that tend to lend their talents to that genre of music because that is the type of crowd that comes out. I've had R&B artists hit me up. I've had groups and bands hit me up, and I've had bands, and I've had guys that do hip hop and stuff like that. The problem is house people, they like old school rap. They're not that heavy into hip hop and drill music and stuff like that. So it was always, I always had to tell these guys no, because it wasn't that kind of party. And so we have been sitting down talking about having a general type of music festival so we can bring those type of acts in and give them access to, you know, the crowds that we have. But it would be sacrilegious if we brought a hip hop group into a house and EDM a techno crowd. The anger that that would bring would be like the wrath of God. So no, we couldn't do it. But that's how it happened. But then we also do, you know, like we have our 2-day fest. We also do a gospel day. Then we'll bring in gospel house music. People will play regular gospel. We'll bring out choirs and praise dancers, and we've done that. We'll have, you know, on the other side of the festival, we'll have like, you know, Caribbean dancers, and you know, the whole thing is beautiful. But that's when we do the 2-dayers, you know.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's held in the South Side Chicago, correct?
It's pretty much, it's the South Side. I mean, but you got them on. You have festivals on the North Side. One of the bigger festivals that we have in Chicago is one called Weed Fest, and that's on the North Side, and that may bring in, you know, a few million people. And then we have the Chosen Few picnic, which is 30 over 30 something years strong, and you know that'll bring in a mill, you know, 500,000, 300,000 people, you know, dependent. The numbers have declined a little bit, you know. I think because people have gotten older, and you know, and then you have mine, which is the largest South suburban festival. You know, people that live in the South suburbs of Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know with the festivities, I know how people, you know, wearing the mask and practicing social distance and stuff like that. So, what the event will be taking place this year, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, we're working on making sure that it happens. The difference of how this festival is going to be ran, um, you know, it's going to be a limited amount of people into the festival grounds. You know, I mean, it's going to be that first come, first serve type thing. You know, the staging and everything is going to be monitored well. The equipment will be cleaned well. The, you know, microphones and all of that. So our biggest thing is not so much the crowds, because again, I've learned even in just dealing with crowds in general, grown folks are going to do what they're going to do.
Yeah.
You can
All right.
say,
You're right.
I need 6 people in this spot. You know, if they see their friends or their cousins or their girlfriend or their bros, they're gonna run, they're gonna hug, they're gonna dap, they'll elbow bump, and then they may all congregate together. That's something you really can't stop because these are grown people. But
True.
we're only handling what we know we can control. This is how many people are coming in here. Now, by you being a grown person making the decision to go hug somebody or kiss somebody or sit down and pull your mask off of somebody, that's on you. You know what I'm
True.
saying? I can't stop you from doing that, but I can limit the amount of people. And one of the things that we agreed upon was the fact that most of the entertainers said they will come out as long as it's outside and not inside where we're constantly breathing and circulating the same air. You know, so I think, you know, people want to do stuff, and people that are watching, if y'all want to do stuff, that might be the way to do it, because you're out in the open and it's fresh air. And I would just say limit the amount of people that you have in your particular situation if you can control that. If you find that you're in a situation where you can't control that and people are kind of up on each other, that's one of them things where I would say, I don't know if I would do it. But we pick locations that we can control what comes in, what comes out, and it's one way in, one way out. And, you know, that's how, you know, how it's going to go, you know, and we're going to have attendants there making sure stuff stays clean. And nobody's up on each other. So I think the hardest thing we had to work out was, normally we have a big VIP area, tent area where all of our entertainers hang out and eat and talk and socialize, we may have to double that space in order for people to kind of have their own space. So I give you about 10 to 6, between 6 and 10 feet. I give you between 10 to 6 feet and so on. And we got to space people out that way where they can still eat and enjoy themselves. You may have to yell down a little bit, "How you doing?" But it'll be one of the things.
Oh yeah, but the most important thing is people coming together, having a good time,
They're
leaving
gonna do it
all.
anyway.
Yeah, they most definitely gonna do it anyway. You like you said, you can't control that. In a way, we don't social distance anyway, especially working in your job or you in the store. We don't social distance each other anyway because everybody up on each other. But hey, it's just is what it is. And my next question is, what artists we like to work with and why?
Artist wise, I don't know. I've never really been that dude. I mean, I got emails full of people ready to do collabs now, and because my wife and I are in the process of relocating and everything, we've been kind of packing up the whole house and I haven't really had time to sit down and do remixes or listen to what they sent me, and they're constantly calling me, "Hey, Smoke, when you gonna get on these tracks? When you gonna?" So, but I think if I wanted to do a particular song with anybody, I would like to do some work with my guy Dave Morales. He's a very talented DJ and producer. I would like to collab with, Black Coffee, another, talented producer. So yeah, I think those would be the producers I would really want to work with. The remixes that come from the major labels and all of that, you pretty much, if you get a Jennifer Hudson or you get what's her name? Jill Scott or somebody like that, and they want a dance version of this, or dance version of that, or Alicia Keys dance version. You get in there, you work that out, and to some sense, you feel like you work with them anyway because you've done the remixes. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, to really sit down and collab with some guys that I admire, those would be the guys I would like to work with.
Awesome. And how long does it, with all the mixing and remixing this song, remixing that track, on an average, how long does that take on working behind the scenes on that?
It really depends on the track. Some tracks go very quickly, and some may take days. I've sat down in my studio and started on a song at 9 in the morning and find myself still in the studio at 11 o'clock at night. It just depends on how many tracks it is and what you're working on and what you're trying to achieve from it. And then, also, the work that you're doing with the vocalist, if you have a vocalist, if you're looking for a particular type of sound, because I mean, you got to go through a lot of stuff. You got to go through, see me, I'm a producer, I'm an artist, and I'm an engineer all at the same time. So I have to wear separate hats. So the first thing I'm going to do is construct whatever song that is. And that's going to take time. Then the next phase of it is mixing down that song and getting the proper arrangements and mixing it down. And then the next phase would be mastering that song, getting it to radio, cell phone, quality type music. So you have to really do that. And a lot of it is done. It's so many guys and people out here, man, that run and get, quickie home studios and set stuff up, and they throw tracks out and they throw tracks out. And I hear so many of the imperfections in them because I think for a lot of people, man, they just in a hurry to get known. They're in a hurry to get famous, and they're in a hurry to they get excited about their music, and they be like, "Yeah, here you go," And I came up, with a lot of veteran engineers, that produced and or engineered great people like Smokey Robinson, Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder. Matter of fact, one of the engineers that he passed away just last year, he was an awesome dude, and he was definitely one of Stevie Wonder's first picks for engineers, and stuff like that. And my other guy Ken, he was an aerospace technician. He would tell you if there were pings and knocks on the spaceships or whatever they flew, stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. And he taught a lot of guys how to engineer. Now his daughter is a big engineer doing rock bands, Led Zeppelin, and she's been out doing stuff with Queen and just so many different people. And I learned from those guys, and when I hear a lot of newbies come into it, they totally rely on their DAWs being their programs. Oh, all I gotta do is hit this button and put it over here, and that's all I gotta do, and it's supposed to sound good, and boom, there you go. And you be like, man, you missing that frequency. That's the wrong frequency for that vocal. That's the wrong frequency for that kick drum. That's the But I mean, they don't care. It's just like, hey, man, especially with hip hop guys, even house guys, it's all the same thing. Everybody be like, yo, that's dope. That's just dope. Yeah, I want it right there. And you be like, I hear you, but that's not right. So
And no, and it's real, and it's the accountability. Because like you said, everybody wants that quick fix, put it out there. Nobody wants to cultivate. Don't put in the work. Don't grind. Don't get someone that's gonna tell you the truth. Everybody wants these yes men. Like
mhm,
the other dog, that's tight, but in actuality, it's not tight.
right.
And because when you put it out there, somebody with an ear like yours would say, "Nah, that ain't right." Feelings be hurt.
Oh yeah, I get that a lot. Don't don't everybody knows me to be a straight shooter. They Most guys that call me respect my opinion because they know I'm gonna tell them the truth. They know I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. They know I'm not gonna pad it. But I'm going to give them an honest opinion on what I feel they should do, and then you could take it for what it's worth. I'm not saying I'm right all the time because engineering music is not a definite science. It's something that's always changing. It's always evolving, and you're always learning, and you're always retraining yourself constantly. There is no such thing as a perfect mix. There's no such thing as a perfect, track or anything like that. You get those things as close as you can, as best as you can, because there's always some change. You got to take in consideration how the room sounds, how big it is, what you're trying to accomplish, what kind of vocalist, what kind of mics did you use. It's so many elements to it, and you got to remember all of that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and I totally agree. Because you want to work in excellence. I believe in working in excellence. You don't want to put out anything that's shabby, mediocre, and you want to get a big payday off of it. It don't work like that.
Mm-hmm.
So have them accountability people, those who inspire to be in this type of business. Have those people that's gonna hold you accountable, and not yes men. Yes men get you in the world of trouble. So that leads up to my next question. What advice would you give someone who aspires to be in the music business? Because when I say that, because I know a lot of the music business can be shady. You got some snakes out there,
Extremely. I
and
would
but to go ahead.
no, I would say um, stay away from major labels. Most of the major labels these days uh, really are you got really the big two, which is Atlantic and Sony, the real big two. They control a lot of stuff, and people don't understand the politics in that. You know, you have Live Nation, you have Clear Channel, and these mega labels, you know, control all of this, and they managed to get away with it by starting all these different companies and renaming them, but they all have stock and shares and control and all of these things, which is why you have so many artists and stuff like that that you hear on the radio constantly, and all of these different things, because they're saying, hey, these are my artists, and these are the labels that I bought up, and these are the companies that I bought up, and we're only going to play this music on this radio station and these songs on this radio station. And that's why indie stations are so popular, because indie stations don't fall under the same rule as a Clear Channel station. If you have a better chance of getting your songs, your tracks played on an independent versus a Clear Channel, because Clear Channel is a cookie cutter, straight type of format. I would advise guys to stay away from those 360 deals. What usually happens is with a major label is they will come to you, and they, first of all, you got to understand, guys got to understand, record companies are just what they say they are. They're companies, they're businesses, they're corporations. Their business is to make money. So it takes them, for one artist on the average to break one artist, it takes anywhere between $300 to almost $500,000 to break one artist. So think about that math. Let's go with 300,000. So out of that, what they do is they give you a signing deal for $1 million. You like, woo, hey, yo, you in the lab, you smoking your joints, you popping, you woo, woo, you doing whatever it is that you're doing. You talk about I'm rich, and you're hollering at your boy, say, man, this gonna be the life we gonna roll, it's gonna be this, it's gonna be that. And you didn't read that contract because that money is a loan.
Mm-hmm.
It's a loan. So now out of that, they're gonna say, hey, you take this, find your place to live. You got to get so many songs done for me. You got to get so many videos done for me. And oh, by the way, you got to pay your own band. You got to pay your own studio costs. If you travel, you got to pay for that too. If you go to your hotels, you got to pay for that too. And all of that comes out of your money. Now, everybody that got all these crews and everybody want to roll with them, by the time you get done with your projects, paying all the fees, and trying to usher that money back to the label, that $1 million has dropped dramatically. That's why you see so many guys out here, they blinging, they wearing jewelry, they got on this and they got on that, and they renting luxury cars. They really don't own the cars. And they stay in small apartments. They co-oping with people because they giving you the illusion that they got it going on, but they broke because they sold to the label. The label owns them. And the sad thing is, if those projects don't sell, the label then shelves those projects, shuts you down. Now you stuck because the label owns you. That means you can't go to no other label. You can't release nothing on your own. And you stuck as an entertainer. So you like, man, I can't sing, I can't rap, I can't do this because I'm stuck. The label won't do nothing. My music didn't sell. They didn't make their money back. I'm broke. And I can't even go out here and side hustle and get on another label because they gonna take it from me as soon as I get it. So I would advise a lot of people, go independent if you can. You got places like Bandcamp to do stuff on. Put your music up on, create your own site. You can be an indie label, and there's thousands of indie labels, and you don't necessarily have to be a label. Just be an artist and put your stuff out. That's the same thing that happened with Prince. When Prince got caught up in that whole thing, that's why he had to change himself to, the artist formerly known as Prince, because the label owned that. So he had to become something else. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then when he got to the point where it was like, hey, it's time for me to get my masters and my music back, and hey, then all of a sudden, oh, Prince is sick and he died. So I mean, people may think that's a conspiracy. It may be, but it's awful strange that seems to be a pattern that happens with a lot of artists that were up there, and then they want their stuff back, then all of a sudden, miraculously, they passed away.
Right. And I know, I think it was think at that time, I think he about to start educating people on how to own the rights to their music at that time. That was the word that was going around with Prince, that he was about to educate other people how to own their rights and stuff, their masters, to their music, because the label is shady. Mike, he owned his own rights and stuff. He being bought rights to the Beatles. Mike was smart. Mike owned his own music.
Yeah, Mike was smart. Mike did a lot of deals, but Mike was still, had his signatures on things that people didn't want to let go of. I would also advise guys to be careful, because major labels, they're really after your publishing. They make more money on publishing than they do on your tracks. I would also recommend that guys push more for the streaming, get your streams up, and because that's the age now, everybody's falling into the streaming. A lot of the new digital DJ gear now is starting to get set up to accept streaming. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's kind of a cool thing, because a lot of times if you play in a party and somebody comes and say, hey, you got that song, such and such, and you be like, nah, I ain't got it. Now some of the gear now, you can type it in as long as you got internet access, look for the song and play it right there.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a lot of new technological advances that are happening now. And, I'm not a fan of streaming. I like the old school. I like selling units. I like selling records, vinyl. If I
Yeah.
get 50 records at $1 a piece, I know that I got $50 coming. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So, that's how it goes. If I sell it to you at $2 a piece, that's $100 to me coming. You know what I mean? So I like tangible units. A lot of people be like, no, I don't like that, but I like units. So I'm adjusting my career and how I do music to the time. So now I'm trying to start focusing on this, because my streams and everything were extremely low because I never focused on it. I didn't care. I was like, whatever with that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And now everybody's like, no, you gotta get those streams up. And now all of a sudden I had to turn the ship around, and now I gotta really pay attention to Spotify and Pandora and so many of these other sites that stream. So I'm like, man, I hate streaming, but I mean, it is what it is. So if you guys are watching, follow me on those sites. I need you.
Awesome. Like I said, it's all about supporting each other, supporting one another, and then it leading up to the next question: media outlets. What different media outlets can people go to purchase your work and stuff like that?
Well, first, that's I'm gonna just tell everybody: Google is your friend. Just type in Derek Smokin Jones and just scroll. I mean, Amazon, Beatport, TrackSource, iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, Pandora, Bandcamp. Look, I'm all over the place, and so is my book. My book is everywhere. You Google me, the book will pop up.
Hey, that sums it up right there. So, hey, someone's been one. And my last and final question is legacy. I ask this to my guests all the time here on the podcast. Proverbs talks about a good name. And we know a good name will take you a long way in life. A good name is better than riches itself. You can have all the riches and have bad character. You can have a good character and no riches at all. But at the end of the day, how do you want Derek Smokin Jones' legacy to be?
My legacy to be? My wife and I both are very passionate about people that are homeless, hungry, starving, single moms with children out here struggling and living in the street, prostituting themselves, trying to feed their babies. And, and because of the pandemic, we saw a huge rise in homelessness here. And that's another reason why we're doing the festival that we're doing, is because I collaborated with people in New York, New Jersey, Baltimore, North Carolina, a lot of different places. And we're going to do some drive concerts just to take care of homeless people. And I figure my legacy that I would want is a couple of things. Know that I'm always straight up about, if anybody says anything about it, they're going to always say he was always straight up. He was a hard man, but he was fair. And, he was a stand-up dude, and he also loved helping people. I get that so much, even on my Facebook timeline and all that. It just constant thank yous. Thank you for helping. Thank you for caring. Thank you. And I never thought about it in that way myself, because, you don't think about that. I guess if it's naturally you, if that makes any sense. So I never looked at it like that until people started constantly saying, oh, Smokin, he always helps and he always gives and he always does this and and my wife and I joked. We said if we were billionaires, we would probably just be giving away money, just driving here, just throwing it out the window, here. And she said maybe that's why God didn't give us a whole lot of it, because he just probably just probably giving it to people that don't even deserve it. And stuff like that. So, like the guy did the gospel house track with called I'm Thankful. Here's a guy that suffered a major stroke. They told him he wouldn't walk. They told him he wouldn't talk. They said, hey, you probably gonna be confined to a wheelchair and all of that. And yet this man got up, got his vocal cords back together, got his speech back together, back to driving a car, handling his business. Now he's building his own home studio and all this stuff. And he came here and he said, man, he called me Smokey. He said, Smokey, I want to do a song with you. And he said, everybody always calling you the preacher. He said, let's do a gospel house track together. And I said, okay. I was flipping through a whole list of tracks I had. He said, I want that one. And we did it. And I sat back in amazement, that, because he was telling me a lot of guys and producers were having problems working with him, because they weren't patient with him, because he said, man, because of my stroke, I kind of forget stuff, or I kind of, have a slur. And he said, man, you're the first guy that worked with me that took the time and the patience, to get what you needed out of me and help me to deliver that, to make this song. He said, man, I'm so thankful for that. I said, well, here, man, I want to pay you for doing the song. He said, no, you already paid me. He said, I don't want nothing. He said, I'm just grateful that you did what you did. And that floored me, you know what I mean? So I was like, bro, I said, man, let me give you something. He's like, nope, I'm good. So, yeah.
Awesome. And I know we're present for time. So you have any final remarks for listening audience? They go back and listen to the replay or in the future.
Say that one more time. I lost it.
Oh, I was saying, do you have any final remarks that you want to share with the listening audience or those who will go back and listen to in the near future?
Man, look, be safe out here, y'all. It's still no joke. The vaccine is not the cure. It's just a preventative measure, and we don't know how well that's working. They say it's a new strand out here and stuff like that, and that may or may not be true. Some people say it's to control us. Some people say it's not to control. Everybody's going to have opinions. What I would say is everybody be safe in your own space, man. And that feeling that you feel in your stomach, that's the good Lord talking to you. That's God talking to you. Listen to it, respond to it, obey it. If it say, hey, it don't feel good, it don't feel right going in this situation or that situation, then don't do that, you know. Um, and handle your business. You know, I tell my kids all the time, I said the only thing that you have is your name and your character. I said if those get bad in the streets, I said then I don't know what you can do about it, you know. So I said always stay of good character, say what you know, mean what you say what you mean, be honest as best you can, do good business, you know, and talk to the Most High before you do any business.
Hey, most definitely, he got to be first. You know, that's why I love Matthew 6:33, when he tells us, "Seek ye first the kingdom and
Right.
His righteousness, and all these things gonna be added unto
Mhm.
you." And he tell them, "Take no thought for tomorrow. You know, tomorrow will take care of itself." So, my thing is to everybody live one day at a time. Seek Him first. Everything else gonna be added unto you. But He gonna see us through like He always been seeing us through. So that's all I can say on that one.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. And lastly, man, because I've lost so many friends either through COVID or stroke or what, you know, cancer and stuff like that, it has started training me, man, to really appreciate today. And, and it's okay to kind of plan for tomorrow, but so many of us get caught up in tomorrow and next week and next month that we
Mm-hmm.
don't enjoy today.
Exactly.
You know, because you can lose your life in the next few minutes. Enjoy your wife, enjoy your kids, your dog, go out, get you some fresh air, stretch. If you don't have legs and you can sit up and breathe, celebrate that. If you got legs, go walking. I mean, take advantage, seize the day, because you don't know that could be your last day, man. Tell somebody you love them, reach out and say, hey, I appreciate you. Hey, I'm sorry. Let's not fight about this no more. You know, spread that love. You know what I mean? And people really don't take that seriously because everybody think they're gonna live forever and they're not.
Yeah, I agree, and that's why he always said don't take no thought for tomorrow, and because you never know. You're right, he could be the last that we never know, but cherish the moments. I think it's the old saying, why put off tomorrow what you could do today?
Mm-hmm.
So whatever God I got for you for that day, pursue it and just engage it. So once again, Derek Smoky John, I appreciate you, man, taking time out to be the schedule to give a guy like me well, I just moved to Texas. I'm from Mobile, Alabama. I just transited here to Texas. I'm loving it. So I
That's one of
thank you
our
for giving me
places
the
we're
opportunity.
looking at.
Okay, then.
Yeah, we're looking
I've
at
been going on
Austin.
2 months.
We looking at Austin and you know the ATL too. Yeah.
Okay, awesome, awesome. And like I said, I just transitioned from, like I said, from Mobile to Arlington, Texas, outside of Dallas, and I'm loving it every minute of it.
Oh, nice, man. We have to chat about how you like it out there. See, we're gonna roll out there and visit because we getting ready to check out a lot of places between March and July. You know,
Okay.
so we're gonna visit and stay a few weeks here, stay a few weeks there, and see what the scene is like and all that good stuff. You know.
Oh yeah, and that stuff plays a role. You know, researching your new location, particular area you want to live in, how it is at night. And I think that's what God is leading me to is doing more researching your location,
Mm,
researching how, if you got children, how the school zones is, or in a particular neighborhood, is it safe at night? So all that stuff plays a huge role, not just jumping into stuff, but that researching, that's the process. To me, that's fun.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It is. We're scared, nervous, and excited all at the same time. But every time we get in that space, my wife always says, we're gonna put it in the Lord's hands, and however
Exactly.
He leads us, that's how we gonna do it. And I always say, yeah, we always talk about, you know, the birds in the air, you know, they didn't worry about how they eat and how they, so, you know, they trusted that it would just be there. And that's how we kind of live our lives, you know, trusting it's going to be there because we got to make a big recoup from so many financials that we lost. And we're still grabbing on to big things because
Right.
we have the faith and we put that faith out there that we're going to receive those big things, and we're just trying to get out there and do that without any fear, and just
Exactly.
trusting in the Lord to get us where we need to be.
And he would do that. You know what I'm saying? We know it lets us know that faith without works is dead. And we know that without faith, it's impossible to please him. And that's what I love about the Most High, because he'll put you in a position where he teach you how to trust in him. Don't trust in your own ability. Don't
Mm-hmm.
trust in your bank account. Don't just teach how to trust in him that hey, you let somebody else know, hey, I know who he is. I experienced him for myself. And that's the beautiful
Absolutely.
thing about the Most High.
Absolutely.
Hmm. So we want everybody to have a great night. Enjoy your Tuesday. Be blessed. Be inspired. Be motivated. Cherish the day, because tomorrow you'll know what tomorrow's gonna bring. But cherish that moment. If you had a falling out with a loved one, with a friend, pick up that phone tonight. Text them, email them, do what you have to do. Make those amends right. Give people their roses while they're alive, as the old saying is now. So give people their roses while they're alive. Be encouraged, stay focused, and I'll see y'all, Lord's willing, next Tuesday night here at the same time on Walking This Ways in Pay Wars podcast. Be blessed, everybody. Peace.